Preachy, we're doing another mod spotlight today because you guys are always asking about my UI. Boosh, UI is good for you. My UI might be bad for you, simple as, but I'm going to recommend some add-ons to you and you can use them however you want. So that's the main important thing. Today we're going to look at one that's really vital in increasing your DPS and helps you manage your life while you're playing the game, because it gives you nice indications of what the hell's going on around you, so you don't have to focus on those things and try and focus more on what you're actually doing while you're trying to survive and do some decent damage along the way. This one's called Classtimer, okay? This is the one that a lot of people ask me about because it tracks my buffs, debuffs, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to give you a quick look at what Classtimer is. Go, go, baby, here's a haunt, an unstable affliction, boom, 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 all my dots. This is Classtimer here, okay? It's tracking my dots on the target. It's also tracking buffs on me here on the left and dots on the right hand side, okay? Now, a lot of other mods do this same thing. Tons of other mods do this same thing, okay? But they do it in a slightly different way. Even power auras can do this. I could set up a power aura for Bane of Agony, Corruption, Unstable Affliction. I could set it for any class whatsoever, be it Living Bomb or whatever. But I like the idea of having it in the countdown bar. Let's fire off another haunt again quickly and just show you this countdown bar. This shows me a time, it's got 10 seconds remaining, and it's tracking down slowly. So not only am I getting a feel for how quickly it's ticking down, but I know when it's going to run out, so I can plan my next few global cooldowns ahead of time. That's why I really like it, as opposed to it being, say, a square picture with a fade out or a countdown number on it. I can get a feel for how long it's taking to actually run out. Just by watching this bar, I can say, oh, in a few seconds time, it's running out pretty quickly, I need to recast it. Now, I know you're going to say, Preacher, you warlock hero. Haunt's not a great example because you cast it off cooldown. That's fair enough. But I just like it for all my dots. You see, it works for all of them, and it also prioritizes them to which one's going to run out first. The one at the top is going to run out first. So although UA looks like it's got longer to last, as it's at the top, it's going to run out first. Even though it's going to be pretty close, you can see UA at the very end is just about overtaking Corruption there. So it prioritizes my dots to tell me which one's going to last the longest. If we were to put Bane of Agony on there, which lasts quite a long time, you can see it instantly goes to the bottom. It's got ages to wait. Haunt's going to run out first, UA is going to run out next, and then Corruption. And it does the same thing with my buffs. So when I'm thinking about firing off that massive, huge, smash you in the face cooldown, it could be a mage's combustion, a frost mage's big pillar of frost, all that kind of stuff. All these big DPS cooldowns that all our classes have. Death Wish, Demon Soul, Doomguard, that kind of crap. I can see how long all my buffs are going to last. Do I have a couple of seconds left to maybe wait for an extra proc to really get that big, meaty cooldown? That's what we're after, okay? So, I'm going to touch on another subject that I like about Classtimer shortly, but first of all I'm going to show you the interface, because this is one of the easiest interfaces in the world. Look at that, /Classtimer is going to bring that bad boy up for you. On the left, you've just got 3 bars. This is amazing for me, guys. So many of the modern day add-ons that have gone through generations upon generation of revamp, redoing, requests from people start to really fill up to something crazy. In fact, if I just show you Pitbull, I believe is one of the crazier ones I've got installed here. Pitbull is my unit frames, which is just my picture of my character and my pet and my target, blah, blah, blah. Now, you might say, Pritchard, there's only 6 or 7, these what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little rows of options here, and these 3 on Classtimer are not that different. Look at this, guys. Each of them split into individual tabs, and it goes crazier, and these have all got tabs within tabs. It's like an Inception mod. We've got tabs within tabs within tabs, and if we start expanding these, holy crap, does it start getting wacky with all sorts of crazy crap going on. And then we can start doing groups, and they have tabs within tabs. Pretty insane, guys. These are like the latter day mods. Classtimer, not a bit of it. Nice and simple, very easy to use. So, before I jump into how we configure this bad boy and set it up ourselves, let me tell you what else I liked about this. Back in TBC, I was playing a Feral Druid Bear. I was a big roaring bear. Now, I did that because we had 2 Prot Warriors in the guild. It made sense that one of us switched classes to get a nice balance amongst the tank team. When TBC came to Ulduar, oh, I'm actually thinking Wrath of the Lich King here, okay? Wrath of the Lich King, Ulduar drops. Feral Druids got a huge buff by Blizzard, really crazy, and started doing massive amounts of damage in their kitty cat form. Now, one of the big buffs that a Feral Druid needed to keep on at the time was called Savage Roar. No matter which add-on I tracked, I couldn't find one that tracked Savage Roar in a way I liked, and I needed to keep this buff on all the time. So I then started to look at mods where I could add my own timers to it. This is where I started to really understand the nuts and bolts of being a DPSer. I'd been a tank all the way up to that time, and I really started to get to grips with being a heavy DPSer. This Savage Roar buff was a real bane of my life for about 3 months, and I tried tons of add-ons to try and track it. None of them worked quite nice. I stumbled across Classtimer, and it has this very interesting feature that we're going to get to shortly. The ability to add your own buffs and debuffs to the mod, and then configure it however you like. That's what I really like. So let's do some configuration type stuff. Like I say, 3 bars, very, very easy. These are the timers that are associated directly with your class. So no matter which class I log, it will automatically update the add-on to say, well, now you're playing a Warlock. So some of the buffs that we have for a Warlock are Backlash, Decimation. Now, don't worry if you don't play a Warlock. Whatever class you play, it will have your individual buffs. So if you're like a Fire Mage, it could have Molten Armor. It could have all that kind of stuff. Frost DKs, you could have Icy Talons. Whatever it might be, it will all show up in here. So for a Warlock, I can have Backlash, Decimation, Enslaved Demon, Molten Core, Summoning Infernal, Shadow Trance, which is my Nightfall, Improved Soulfire, Demon Soul. Now, this add-on does cover all 3 specs in this list of buffs. However, you obviously can't get those buffs if you're not in that spec. So whichever ones you want, go ahead and tick them. And that's it. You're all fine. You're really, really happy. You've got all the buffs you wish to track. Now, these buffs will appear. Let me unlock it so you can see it. They will appear here. These are buffs on me. So they will appear on the tab known as Player. Player is buffs on you. Curses, I have a little tab called Curses. I think Paladins have a tab called Blessings, and so on, depending on which class you log. So I've got all my curses shown there. Curse of the Elements, Jinx, Bane of Doom, so on and so forth. And my dots, Corruption, Immolate, Seed of Corruption, Unstable Affliction. Miscellaneous stuff. This is stuff I actually find really interesting. And generally, this is not shown as standard. You have to select the boxes yourself. Stuff like Death Coil. So if I Death Coil a person, I want to see how long that Death Coil's got left before it runs out. Haunt is a part of that, which I find Haunt to be really important just to keep a track of. Banish and Fear. Now, I want to touch on this subject because when we come to CC in a dungeon, how often, guys, do we say, yo, Mage, can you sheep that guy over there? And he's like, cool. Just before the pull, goes ahead and sheeps it. Then what happens is midway through the fight, before you finish clearing the rest of the packs, is that sheep starts running wild all over your ass like Hulk Hogan or some shit, you know? And that's because he's not properly tracking that sheep. Now, people without an add-on like this look at it one of 2 ways. Or they're very comfortable with the Blizzard focus frame. I'm not. From my own personal point of view, I don't like it. But still, they don't have an accurate way of tracking CC on a target they're not quite looking at. So we'll just do a quick example of how Classtimer comes into play here. This dummy over here, can I mark him? Yeah, I can. We're going to mark him with a triangle. I'm going to set him as my focus. So here's my focus bar here, this one. Now I track my focus dots here on the screen. So let's say I had to fear this mob or banish it, okay? And then we're going to DPS. Let me stick a skull on this bad boy. This is our DPS target. That's our CC target. So we're going to send in Ramon. Go Ramon. You go do your thing. So we're about to pull. We're going to DPS the skull. Preachy, can you fear this? Now, for this example, my Unstable Affliction will be my fear, okay? Just pretend this is my CC spell, just for the sake that I can't actually fear a training dummy. So I'll Unstable Affliction that, and then I'm going to start DPSing that. Now, do you see down here? Look at this. It's tracking my Unstable Affliction, or in our case, our fear, nice and tidily. I can just see it on the side of my screen. I can DPS full black. I can go full blast on this guy. 2 seconds left till it runs out. I can reapply it. Boom. Look at that. Now that's my CC is withheld, it's not running wild. All the time I'm still DPSing the main target and just keeping a nice track on that. I really like that. I can just keep out my eyes on what I'm doing, and then I can see what's going on my focus target without having to look at it, and my CC is never going to break. Okay, that makes a little bit of a difference between your good and bad players. Is some guy can sheep, anybody can sheep, any mage can do it, any rogue can sap, all that kind of stuff. But we need to be able to track it and keep that mob CC'd, especially for an entire boss fight. If you remember back into Zulaman, should I say, we generally CC'd one of the mobs at Hexlord Malakras for the entire duration of the fight. Now, very rarely did we ever see anybody actually keep that mob CC'd for all the fight. It would generally break after its 10 or 15 seconds, and then we'd end up killing it anyway. Classtimer allows us to do that stuff. So we're going to look at again at the configuration of Classtimer. Now, first thing to do is to note the lock, and then I'm going to go into the extra stuff, which I really, really like. So we've got this tab called bar settings. If we unlock it, we can see our bars. So above my pet, I have the pet class timer. Should my pet get any buffs, debuffs, I can see what's going on there. We've got our player one here, which is buffs on me. The target one, which is my target, obviously debuffs on him. And my focus target is down here. Now, just clicking and dragging these will move them anywhere. So if I wanted my dots of my focus right there, then I could have them there. I prefer them here, just nice and tidily out of the way. Not interrupting my eyes, that kind of thing. And you can drag your target wherever you want. Now, I'm never going to get this back in line. Oh, the horrors I go through for you ballers. And you can also change the size of these. You go into the general tab. You've got general, which you can reverse, do the debuffs up and down, grow up. So grow up is just whether or not the debuffs when they land go down your list or go up your list. Well, I don't want to clog up the top of my screen, so they'll just go down. Frame attributes, your bar width, your bar height. Now, if you do it on the general tab, that's going to affect all 4 of the timers. But you have the individuals ones here. You've got focus, pet, player, and target. Exactly the same tabs, and you can change the individual size. So you can see my player and my target are nice and big. My focus and pet are reasonably small. Very, very easy stuff, guys. No big deal. So we're going to go ahead and lock those. Now, the most important thing about Classtimer to me, getting back to what we were talking about Savage Raw, is this extras tab. I love this tab. This tab allows you to type in anything you want, be it a buff or a debuff, anything that exists in the game that can affect your character, and the mod will automatically detect when that name is present. Is that a buff or is it a debuff? Now, I'll give you a couple examples of what I've got here. These are trinket buffs. Foul Gift, Power Torrent. Most of you will be familiar with Power Torrent. It's your weapon enchant. Shadow Flame, Ultimate Power, which is the proc from my trinkets. If I fire off that trinket, ultimate power. So when it comes to adding extras and trinket buffs, this is where your DPS really starts to climb high, because you're tracking when your trinkets are buffing you and all that kind of stuff. Is all you do is you check in the top right, what is the name of that buff? Ultimate power. You type it into there, including the caps of the capital letters, and then you just press enter, and boom, it's added. Whenever you get the buff, turn that off. Whenever you get the buff, ultimate power, you will see that this buff now appears here. Okay, very, very easy. Nothing to be ashamed of. Turn that phone to silent while we carry on. And also Foul Gift, which is the buff from the Foul Gift of the Demon Lord. And I added Shadow Flame. Now, the Shadow Flame, you might think, well, preach, that's a dot. Should it not be included with the add-on? Some things will be missing, guys. It's a very old add-on. It does get updated pretty regular. Shadow Flame doesn't have a dot that needs refreshing. You basically fire Shadow Flame on cooldown when you can. The only reason I added it was to make sure that I was actually making contact, because bosses have various sized hitboxes, so you can really use this mod to your own convenience. So let's give an example. I say this might be a huge boss. Let's pretend our Skull Training Dummy is a really giant boss. Where I'm stood now seems like it's in a good position, and I Shadow Flame. I think it's made contact, but actually it hasn't. Okay, there's no debuff here. So I'm now aware that while my dots are all ticking and I'm DPSing, I'm not in Shadow Flame range. If I then move to here, Shadow Flame is on the target. I have made contact with my Shadow Flame. I'm in good stead. I can stand here. Now I'm in a good position to make sure my Shadow Flame is on. Just to give you an example of how we add this, is I got the 4-piece bonus yesterday, finally. If we watch, we get a new buff, and it's called Temporal Ruin, I believe. I'm probably going to screw this up, but whatever. Just to give you an example. So if we went to extras, I've got a new buff, which increases my spell power by 10%. So we're going to call that Temporal Ruin. Enter. That's the first time I've added this to the game. That's all I had to do was Temporal Ruin. Now, when I soul burn, hopefully, Temporal Ruin. There it is. The mod's automatically detected it. I now know when I've got 10% more spell power. Again, helping me decide when I should fire off that big Demon Soul, Soul Burn, whatever I need to do to refresh some big heavy dots. And that's what I love about this mod. Is it completely configurable and incredibly easy to do. There are other mods that do this, but they tend to be a lot more complex. They tend to involve a lot more time invested from yourself. All that kind of stuff. I really like this one. So easy to use and lets you increase your DPS, because we all know, if you watch my effective DPS guide, is that when we're fully buffed to the teeth, I obviously am not going to have the other buff, so I'm DPSing away. I'm thinking, oh Christ, I've just got a big Power Torrent, a big Foul Gift. Alright, I'm going to pop my trinket. I've now got 4 buffs on myself. Cool, I'm now going to Temporal Ruin, 4 buffs, Demon Guard the shit out of it, and now I've got a storming Demon Guard. I've got a Demon Guard that's going to crush your very soul. Awesome stuff. Look at that bad boy. Yeah, I love you, buddy. He's now dropping, you know, around about 12k Shadow Bolts at a glimpse, and then they're going to crit for around 30k. And in a raid situation, 24k Shadow Bolts from my pet, and he's going to stick around for a long ass time, just doom bolting away. awesome. He's buffed to the teeth. Really enjoy it. That's Classtimer for you guys. I'm going to see you tomorrow. And remember, it's Web Show weekend. I hope to see you there.